All right, so part two, hopefully shorter than part one and more structured. Let's see, I want to do that. All right, so let's talk about doing the assignment. So let's say you found an article. I'm going to use the Linden servant leadership article as an example, but you're not doing servant leadership. You're doing contextual variables at work. The assignment, I basically say that you could treat this as just an assignment where you're going to list the questions and then just fill in the answers. So this will be basically what we have, and then you're going to fill in the answers. And so let me make this big so we can use it, and then let's just start doing that, filling in the answers. So article source, that has a very technical meaning. That means the APA style reference citation. That is the source where you're getting this information from. So the article source, let me get this the right size. There, that's okay. And why are you doing that to me? There's my cheat sheet. That was in APA style, but now it's gotten knocked out of it. And so let's go back to Word so you can see it. APA style, the names of the authors, the last names, the initials of their first and second names, the year, the title. Notice that the first letter of the sentence is capitalized, but the other first letters are not. However, after the punctuation, the first letter of the sentence is capitalized, the rest of the first letters are not. The name of the journal in italics, the volume number and issue number, and the page numbers. Okay, and then the very weird hanging indent, that is, the first line is flush, but everything else is, has a tab to it. All right, so that would be the article source. Conceptual definition of the measure. So I would like you to tell me what the conceptual definition is. That is, what at the conceptual level is this a measure of? And what I did was I looked in the article. Here's how I want to do it. And so I'm going to go through quickly, but you will probably need to read this once or twice, take notes to really get the information from it. And that's just to be expected because that's how you learn how to read research articles in APA style. The servant leadership literature offers an inconsistent set of definitions. As a consequence, our research was designed to define and validate dimensions that constitute servant leadership as a construct. So they're certainly talking about the construct here. They're talking about 9 dimensions, but they're not talking about what servant leadership is. So I'm going to go back here and just read this material here. And in here you will probably find servant leadership builds trust by selflessly serving others first. That seems to be the best general definition. So what I will do, I'm going to skip the slideshow. A little smaller, there, a little bigger, there we go. So I'm going to say servant leadership is a form of leadership in which the leader builds trust with their subordinates by selflessly serving others first. And notice I did not plagiarize. That is, I took what the article was saying and I set it in my own words, my own expression, so that's not plagiarism. If I would just cut and paste, that would be plagiarism. If I cut and pasted and included Greenleaf 1977, that would be just very poor writing. But I want to show you some examples about how not to plagiarize. It's very easy to want to just cut and paste, but that usually leads to plagiarism. So now that I have a basic, understanding of what servant leadership is, I want to talk about their 9 dimensions because that will help set a good understanding of the conceptual definition in the reader's mind. And again, the titles of these definitions are titles, so you can copy them, but the descriptions the author gives, you cannot cut and paste them. You have to, basically, in your own words, state what the author is saying. And so I did that for the 9 dimensions. So doing good there. So conceptual definitions given. Scale characteristics such as items, number of items, and examples. Oh, okay. So what I do is I go and I start reading more of it. And this you can skip. This you can skip. Method, now we're getting to the interest scale development overview. So now we're going to want to come back to that in a little bit. Participants and procedures. For scale characteristics, we're going to go over pretty much all of this. Probably go to results. Yep, here we go here. The results of our study identified 85 servant leadership items. Okay, there are 26, 27, 28. 9 factors emerged with eigenvalues greater than 1. They're talking about doing a factor analysis, and this is factor analysis talking. They're going to use the factor analysis to divide up items onto those 9 dimensions. And that's in general what a factor analysis does. It categorizes questions on a questionnaire, and it will allow you to put them into different subcategories or subscales. And that's all you really need to know about factor analysis for this now. But what you do need to read is more about what's going on. So we start out with 9 factors. Okay, that's what I said here. We have 9 factors. 2 of the 9 factors were judged to be problematic. Factor 8 was deemed to be non-interpretable. Factor 9 was classified as non-interpretable. So it seems like, yep, the remaining 7 factors, so what they did is that even though they had 9 conceptual definitions, they basically said, in terms of the data, in terms of the statistics, we're only going to have 7 actual subscales, or 7 subscales. So I noted that there. And so now, after examining the items we loaded on each, we identified 9 emotional healing items, 7 creating value for community items, 9, 6, 4, and 11. Well, if you go through this table here, and we'll get to that in a second, you'll notice that 9 plus 7 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 plus 4 plus 11 does not equal 28, and so you need to keep on reading. We selected the 4 highest loading items for each factor to create a 28-item servant leadership scale. So we do know that there are these 7 subscales. Each subscale has 4 items. So the number of items is very easy to get, 4. What about examples of items? Well, oftentimes they'll present the items to you in a paper in a table like this. And so a little bit more about factor analysis. These are the individual questions on the survey. These are the sub scales or the categories, and these are the loadings of this item on this category. And the higher the number for the loading, the better. And you'll see here 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 items have loadings 0.61, 0.57, 0.55, 0.58. These loadings that are high indicate that these are the 4 items that load onto emotional healing. And so one example I gave of emotional healing would be I would seek help from my manager if I had a personal problem. And since this is an item with exact wordings, you can cut and paste it and don't have to worry about plagiarism, because there's no way to say that in your own words. You have to say it in the author's words, and it's understood. Likewise, for creating value for community, notice that these loadings here are low because these items don't load onto creating value. But notice number 5, my manager emphasizes importance. That loads very well on this factor. This one loads very, very well on this one. These are the 4 items for creating value. Sometimes you'll have to figure out what the items are by going through a table like this. Other times they'll just tell you, which is great. Jeez. Like I said, it's better if you just basically give yourself the time. So if you need help, you can email me and I can take a look at this and I can help you out. Okay, so now target population. We need to go through the article. One hint I can give you, Control F for find in the article. Target population, nothing. Population, and they're not really saying anything specific about a population, so what about a sample? Oh, lots of stuff about sample. Okay, so what they've done, and if we go back to methods, which is probably where we're going to see it, the study consisted of data collected from 2 samples. One sample was from students of a Midwestern university. The other sample, was from a production and distribution company. So I'm going to have to say that the target is not specified, but they use samples from a Midwestern university and students, supervisors, and employees of a Midwestern production company and distribution company. Reliability. Now this is the really big part. This is the title of the assignment, and so what I want you to do is find the reliability data, and so that'll be in results most likely. So, or in measures, let's see where it is, results. Let's see, you could probably find it from this table, but if you back up a little bit, and they talk about the servant leadership student sample. Samples consist of 85 items, blah, 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 blah. An exploratory factor analysis resulted in the emergence of 7 distinguishable factors, those 7 subscales we talked about, and the reliabilities of these subscales. Conceptual skills, alpha equals 0.86, empowerment, alpha equals 0.9, helping subordinates grow, alpha equals 0.90, and etc. so on. And that's just for the student sample. For the organizational sample, they say the scale reliabilities are conceptual skill alpha 0.81, CFA sample alpha 0.80, HLM sample I would just focus on whenever they just say the normal alpha value, the Cronbach alpha. And so what I did here is work sample, conceptual skills alpha 0.81, empowerment 0.80, and notice I say what type of data, sample characteristics, who took it and how many. So the sample characteristics were the work sample, 164 employees, 25 supervisors, and even though it's obvious, the Cronbach alpha is an internal reliability measure. And then finally, number 6, evaluate the reliability data. And I tell you very specifically in the video lecture, I gave you rubrics to evaluate it. That is, conceptual skills, alpha equals 0.81. What does that mean? The whole assignment is, I want you to read about a survey and tell me if the survey is good or not. So the reliability is one statistic that will tell us if it's good or not. So what does that 0.81 mean? And I want you to think about what I said in the video, what the textbook says, and think about how to really apply what those rubrics were in terms of the sizes of Cronbach alpha to the data that we see here. So we have 7 subscales, we have 2 samples, so you're going to talk about those 14 Cronbach alphas. You could talk about all 14 one at a time individually. You may group them. It really depends, but I want you to think and try to solve the problem of how to express this. All right, so that's it for the example. So as I said, the best thing is to begin early so you can have the time to talk to me. This is online, so